OK, je t'ai redonné host, puis là, le stream est parti. Looks good.
Super. Merci. Bon matin.
Bonjour Maxime.
Bon matin, ça va bien?
Très bien, et toi?
Ça va bien, oui.
J'ai plusieurs micros différents et plusieurs caméras différentes. Est-ce que tu m'entends bien avec celui-là?
Oui, ça va très bien.
Ok, bah super. Alors je vais rester avec ça, puis je vais continuer mon setup.
Merveilleux.
Je vois qu'il y a des gens qui sont dans la waiting room. C'est toi qui t'occupes de les faire rentrer quand c'est l'heure, c'est ça?
Oui, oui, je peux le
Parfait.
faire
Ok.
rentrer maintenant si vous préférez, sinon je vais attendre à 9 heures.
Ouais, peut-être attendre un tout petit peu encore
Parfait.
parce que je suis pas encore totalement prête.
Merveilleux. Juste valider. On approche de l'heure de départ. Est-ce que je laisse rentrer les gens?
Excuse-moi, Maxime, tu peux-tu recommencer ça?
En fait, je demandais à Axel si on était prêt pour laisser rentrer les gens de la salle d'attente.
Ouais.
Merveilleux. Donc, je vais commencer ça.
Tu as une intro à faire ou je partage directement mes slides, Maxime?
C'est à la préférence, je peux faire une introduction, mais on peut commencer aussi tout de suite.
D'accord, bah, je vais mettre les slides, vu que j'ai un slide d'intro, comme ça, c'est pas vraiment la peine.
Merveilleux.
Voilà. Mais je vais commencer pile à l'heure pour que les gens voilà, aient bien le temps de joindre et pas de se mettre, de commencer direct en retard.
Merveilleux.
Alors, je vais partager mon écran. Je recommence. Voilà, normalement, tu dois voir mes slides qui apparaissent. Maxime, c'est bon pour toi si je commence?
Oui, on peut y aller.
Okay. Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever, everybody. And thanks for joining for this first workshop at NorthSec, where we will be reversing Android malware. So for the smart and lazy, as I said, because we're going to be using advanced tools which really help go faster in the reversing of some applications. Yeah, so malware actually. So who am I? Although that's maybe not the most important. I am working every day on Android malware or IoT malware. Reversing those malware to, well, see what they're doing and detect them at Fortinet. So this is very much in line with my daily work there. Your training material. So I'm going to copy paste actually this also in the Discord channel so that you don't have to type it. Basically, this is where you are going to get the material for this workshop. Okay, so let me do the copy paste correctly. Next, and there we go. And I'm gonna copy paste that in there. So this is the Discord channel for NorthSec. You go, just reminder, you should have access to workshops once you are in here. You go in the workshop section, Android malware, and you will have the link there. Beware if there are some spaces. It looks okay, but I'm not entirely sure. Do tell me if there's an issue there in the chat. Okay, so we go back to this. There are only very few slides, but in there you are going to find two different things. You are going to find, well, I can share that. It's on the screen. Let me grab it. So you should see that. This is the link on Mega, and you are going to have a zip in here with the sample we are going to analyze, and the other one is a PDF, which is basically the exercises for this workshop. Okay, so you get both. This one will only unzip with a password. The password is infected, nothing difficult to to find in there, and it does contain an active and a real malware. So please be sure to be careful with the sample. This means that one of the most stupid errors but common error is to plug in with USB your smartphone on your laptop and then get it wrong, and instead of installing it on the emulator, install it on your smartphone. So beware of that. I recommend that during this entire workshop, if you've got an Android smartphone, you do not plug it at all to your laptops, okay? So that way you are a little bit more sure if you get something messed up, that it doesn't kind of jump on your smartphone that way, okay? So yeah, do get these. It's pretty small, so it shouldn't be long to download. And then when you open that, I can show you what it looks like. I'll get into the correct directory. You'll have basically one lab directory in which there is just one sample, the one we will be working on during this entire workshop. And here you've got the solutions to some of the questions I'm going to ask in the exercises. Of course, there are spoilers, so don't look into this part in advance. But afterwards, if you need them, or if you need to skip one or this or that exercise, you have the solution there. Okay. The manual. Well, the manual looks like this. It is pretty big, okay? Kind of, well, looks like 27 pages. The first few pages are very much about setting up your work environment. There's a few background information on ADB cheat sheet, Java signatures, things like that, and then the most important part is there, the labs. This is where we have the various exercises we're going to work on, okay? And then the appendix is very much on installing tools, okay? So if you have an issue and don't know how to install this or that tool, it will be in this section there, okay? Unfortunately, for the exercises we have in this workshop, some tools are a little bit difficult to install. So you'll pretty much have probably to look into that appendix section precisely to see how to install this or that. Okay, but we've got time. It's 3 hours, and it shouldn't be kind of rushing. And I think that we should probably be able to complete everything by the 3 hours. Switching back to the slides. The Discord channel, well, the organizers there will jump in if anything is wrong in there, but basically you have a Discord server, which is for NorthSec. So you need to join that, of course. And then basically to get access to that workshop section, you need to send something to the flag bot to get the corresponding role. And then once this is good, you get access to the Android malware section. And this is where we will discuss during the exercises. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit at the beginning, then we'll present the first exercise, and then you'll be a little bit, for a couple of minutes on your own. You work on the exercises, and if you have issues, don't wait like till the end, till I give you the solution. You ask me directly on Discord, either direct message or on the Android malware channel. You tell me, come on, I'm lost at this point or something like that, and I'll help you out. Okay, that's what it is for. Now, prepare your work environment. So if you haven't done so yet, please start immediately to download the Android Studio, because it's kind of a little bit big to download. This is the recommended way to install your Android emulators, okay? if you know, or if you already have an Android emulator which is working some other way, that is perfectly fine. Okay, no problem with that. I recommend that you take next 8664 emulator. Well, that is if you're that's the processor you're using on your laptop, of course. Android 8, if possible, or greater. Okay. Although we won't be using very much new features or things like that, but it's not something too old and not something really totally like the most recent one. But the most important part is that your emulator shouldn't have Google Play in it, okay? Google APIs is okay, but not Google Play, because some of the tools we are going to use in there are not working if Google Play is installed. Then the other thing that you should install is JetX. It's disassembler decompiler for Android. If you have another disassembler or decompiler, that is fine as well. You can use that. It doesn't really matter which tool you are using. If you have, I don't know, Jeb decompiler, for instance, you can use that. If you want to use AndroGuard and you know how to use it, this is perfectly fine as well. Okay, so whatever. This one for the workshop is pretty good because it's not very big to download. So, well, you can easily download that. Okay, so the biggest part is going to be installing the Android emulator, because the malicious sample we are going to work on, well, we are going to run it in the emulator, of course, not on a real smartphone. Then, well, I've done a special slide about that, about virtual environments, because I've been doing actually this workshop with some colleagues and things like that, and it always ends up the issues that we have afterwards because of virtual environments, okay? And especially when you are trying to pile virtual environments on top of each other. So your Android emulators, if possible, as much as possible, I'm just checking out, I see I have two things there. Chat. Oh yeah, pasted, nice. Pasted in here, very nice, okay. So yeah, don't pile things on virtual environments, because if you're putting your Android emulator inside a VM, it's basically an emulator, and then a VM, and then your real host, okay? You're slowing down your machine at each step, of course, eating up memory at each step, and also having potential communication errors in between there. So if you can't do another way, do it that way, of course, okay? If you really have no other solution, but get prepared to deal with those issues afterwards, okay? Otherwise, please just install the emulator directly on your host, and we will be using Excalibur also, same thing, install it directly on your host if possible, okay? So this is really actually to ease up the exercises afterwards. So then we will be working on Packers very much. I'm going perhaps first to pause a little bit and show you here the manual. So the manual, it's in here. Okay, so we go to the lab section, and the first thing is that we are going to set up Excalibur. So I'm gonna put this a little bit bigger in here. So, well, read in, go there, download the manual, go to the first lab X01, it is called, which is very much about installing Excalibur. Follow the steps which are in here. Excalibur is a dynamic and things like that. And there's an install guide over there. And I can probably show that. No, it's not here. It's in here. Okay, so this is the install guide for Excalibur. So Node.js, Frida, and the Java. Those two are not very difficult to install. This one can be a little bit more itchy depending on your system and how good you are with Node.js. Okay, follow the install guide in there, and once you get up to, well, there's lots of information in case things go wrong. Once you get to this screen, we will be ready to work with Excalibur. Okay, so this is the screen you want to get. Once you get to this step, raise your hands somewhere, either on Discord or on the Zoom here, so that I know that you're ready. Meanwhile, I think we will just, I'll stop talking here, and ping me on Discord whenever you have an issue, okay, with the installation of the Excalibur or getting your workshop material or whatever up to there. Okay, so I'll see you in perhaps like something 10 minutes or so. Okay, so somebody asked me how to be sure not to get Google Play. So I'm going to share again my screen to show you how not to get it. So in here, when you you open Android Studio, you go to Configure and you start AVD Manager there, okay? And then in the AVD Manager, this is all the emulators I personally have, and this just shows you if you have Google APIs or Google Play. So for instance, this one has Google Play, this one has nothing, this one has, and those three have Google APIs. And so when you create a new one, so we don't really bother about the phone definition. I clicked on next. So this is where you can choose your images and see that all of these have Google Play. So if you hit x86 over here, then you'll have some here which are not Google Play. Google APIs, for instance, in here, nothing, Google APIs, nothing. Okay. So this should answer your question over there. I'm stopping the sharing and I'll share the image though afterwards. So I'll share again my screen and talk a little bit about packers. So why are we installing Dexcaliber? We are installing Dexcaliber because we are going to reverse an Android malware, which is called Alien and which is packed. So probably lots of you already know what a packer is. Just in case, for those who don't, this is a short explanation, visual explanation of there. Malware authors want to make the lives of reverse engineers a little bit more harder, and to do that, or just for intellectual property, they don't directly include the malicious payload in the app just simply that way, but they kind of pack it, let's say wrap it. It's just as if I'm sending you a gift and, well, I'm not handing you directly over the item. I put it in a box, and in the box I put a nice paper around it, and you get that box and you've got to unwrap it all until you get the actual gift. So it's basically the same thing, except it's not a gift, it's a malware, of course. So what you have is the packer. The packer is basically the wrapping paper, okay, around the gift with some code. And inside there, in the box, you feel that there is something, which is the opaque data, but you can't access it, you can't use it. At this stage, you don't even know exactly what it is, okay? The unpacking code is going actually to help you decrypt this data. So it can be decryption, it can be de-obfuscation inside it. It can be various different algorithms. It can be an AES, and it can be a handmade algorithm, whatever. And it will put back the opaque data into something which is an executable. So on Android, the executables are Dalvik executables, shortened DEX, okay? So this is going to the packer is going to turn this opaque data into a DEX there. Okay, and then the code of the packer is going to actually load the DEX so that the malicious payload, which is included in here in the DEX, actually runs. Okay, this is the blue part there. It's the gift. Okay, this is the gift that you really want. So this is how it actually runs. And to load this, it usually uses a class which is known as DEX class loader in the Android API. There are also some inherited classes in there, and then it will do some Java reflection and load the given class that you have in the DEX, like load this function, this class, then load this method of this class, invoke that, run it, and things like that. And that's how it works. Okay. So this is actually pretty difficult when you want to reverse such an Android application. And to be honest, Dexcaliber really helps with this, okay? It will help you pretty much in some situations where you want to unpack an application, and we are going to use it for that. And Dexcaliber is an open source tool. I am not the author at all of it. Okay, it's another French guy. Actually, I'm French as well, but he is French also. And his tool is open source, and it is based on Frida. Frida, you might have heard of that. It's a framework to help you hook dynamically some other parts of code. So it can be for Android, but it can be also other platforms. So you write hooks. So instead of actually executing the code of the application, your hook ends up in between and will run something slightly different than what is expected, and you specify what you want to run when it hits this or that function, okay? And you write the hook. Frida is absolutely fabulous. It's really awesome. It works very well, and it's so useful. But sometimes writing the hooks is a little bit painful, because you've got to write a hook for this, you've got to write a hook for that. things like that. And this is where Dexcalibre is quite helpful, is that most of the hooks that you want to write are already written, and you just kind of have to click on this or that button, and it will just do the job in your place. Okay, so that is what it is for. And I stop sharing again. Yeah, feel free to post on Discord any question you have on the setup of the work environment. Do tell me also how much of you have reached up to that screen here, okay? When I'll have a sufficient amount of you who have reached this point, we will continue to the next steps. Okay, so far we only have 2 penguins, 2 people who have reached the point where you see that Excalibur screen. If you have any more, if any more of you have already finished, just click there so that I know if I can quickly move on or not, okay? Otherwise, I'll be waiting a little bit because if you don't have the Excalibur, you can't go on for the rest of the exercise, okay? If something is wrong, again, feel free to ask on Discord, share me error logs or whatever, but so that I can help you out there, okay? Cheers. Okay, so for those of you who are still struggling with Excalibur, well, if you're on Windows, you have to use my Docker container. If you're not on Windows and you're still struggling with this or that issue and you really don't know what is happening, you can also use my Docker container there. So my Docker container for Excalibur, you can actually do Docker pull. And that's, I'm going to write that. It's not in there. It is probably, oops. And here, Docker pull, and I put that. And this will retrieve an environment where the Excalibur is already installed. And then, well, you can use that. Then when you have downloaded downloaded it, you need to run the container, and the line is in here in the training manual. I'm going to copy that as well on Discord. I think there's maybe a typo. Yeah, that looks better that way. Okay, so this is another way to do it. Okay, please continue to click on the penguin once you have reached the milestone, right? With that nice screen. Remember, we are still looking for that screen over there. Okay, and you've got the nice penguin over there that you should click on. Okay, and I'm going to have a look at your questions that I see in there. See you. Okay, let's say we continue at, well, it'll be 10 o'clock your time, okay? So at 10 o'clock, we continue the exercise with hopefully for everybody working the Excalibur. If anything is wrong, I'm still on Discord, so yeah, do DM any issue you might have or ask. Okay, so let's go on a little bit with the exercise and try to do something with the Excalibur, okay? I'm gonna share my screen and we'll work a little bit more on the next exercise. So the first exercise is about installing the Excalibur. Don't worry, this is the most difficult tool to install for the entire workshop. So the other tools are much easier to install. So you probably won't have as much issues in the future. So normally, and if this is okay, you probably have gone up to this screen, something which looks like this on your Excalibur. I'm going actually to run mine so that you see how it works. So now let me do the job. So I have an emulator which is running over here. I have Excalibur that I have got to set. I've got to have Frida, and Frida I've installed it in a Python virtual environment. So I'm gonna enable that. There we go. I have that. I'm gonna check the version of Frida 14.2.18. Okay, this is the one I have. And in my emulator, ADB shell, we go there, go in local TMP. You've got to be root, okay, to run this Frida server. Okay, so be sure to be root. If that doesn't work, you'll have maybe to run before that ADB root in two different separate words, okay? And then, of course, you've got to execute it. If it doesn't have the executable rights, you've got to do a ch mode for that. And I'm gonna run that, okay? So there, it's okay on this side. Then, well, I told you that we are going to analyze one sample. That sample is in here. I have to install it on the emulator. It's just installing it. It's not executing it for now, okay? So ADB install alien APK, and it tells me success, which is great. And probably if I go and see in my emulator, you see this new Flash player icon. Don't click on it yet, okay? But that's the malicious application in there, okay? So it's just installed to prepare to use it, to use Excalibur. Now I run Excalibur, which is already installed. I know that's the most complicated step. I run that. So it is going to be on this part. Let me go over here. And you get to the screen where you basically have all your open projects. So I explained in the appendix how to create a project, but basically you've got to do new project, enter things in there, then it's a bit buggy. You've got to stop the Excalibur and start again. But basically when we get up to here, it's good. I have mine, which is over here, alien, and I click on open. And there it's a little bit long, okay? Or maybe it depends on your laptop. On mine, it takes kind of a few seconds or up to a minute. And here, while you just can have a look at the console, if ever anything happens, you'll see it over there. There's something which is a little bit strange, is that actually the Excalibur messages, sometimes you see a message in red, and it's not always an error or an issue, okay? So don't be bothered too much about the colors. The first time I saw something I read, I thought, oh, something is wrong. Well, no, as long as it continues, sometimes it's just like a warning or something like that, okay? So you've got to wait. And here it doesn't tell you very much because the progress bar is just like this, okay? So as I told you, we still have to wait. And oh yeah, okay. So you saw some red messages in there. I can't have them any longer, but if you see those, don't be bothered about it. And now we see this. Now, this, to be honest, is, well, it shows the various namespaces of the package. I asked the author, well, what do you mean with this kind of first page? Is there something we should know or understand or do with that? And he kind of laughed and told me, yeah, well, maybe it was useful in the past, but it's no longer exactly that useful now, okay? And now we will be mostly interested in this tab, static analysis and hook, okay? If we go in hook we will see a list of hooks which are in there and which are predefined. And I'm going to stop there because otherwise I'm going to do the rest of the exercise, and it's actually for you to experiment for that. So you've got up to this, and now the goal there is that we find the unpacked payload for Alien. As I told you previously, the packed payload is loaded with using a class which is named Dex class loader. Okay, so what we want in here is to put a hook, a specific hook for Dex class loader, so that we see whenever it is called and what are the arguments which are provided to it, because one of these arguments is the file, well, the file name, sorry, of the Dex which is provided. Okay, so it will be the file name of the unpacked Dex. So this is going to be interesting. So here you're gonna follow this exercise there to create the Dex class loader hook if you haven't got one yet. Okay, so this is in case you haven't got it. If you've already got one, well, continue in there. And I'm not going to answer those questions there, but hook, see what happens, and try and find the unpacked payload using Dexcalibur. Okay, see you on Discord for your questions and everything. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna solve this exercise live. And I usually have participants do that, not the same all the time. For now, Alex is going to share his screen shortly when he gets the right to do so. And well, I'll help him live to work out and do this exercise. Usually it works out better. I think that Alex has to leave soon, so we'll do it right now whenever he's ready and gets the right.
Yeah, Alex, you should be able to request streaming.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. So let's try to share my screen here.
Yeah, perfect. We see your screen.
So, oh, perfect. The Zoom bar is on top now. I can't. Okay, I can move it. So I have Dexcalibur running.
Okay.
I have the Android emulator running.
Fine.
I have the Dexcalibur running on the console, and I think when I go to, I went to static analysis.
Yeah.
And search for the what was the name? Class.
Dex class loader. Okay, I just saw with your screenshots that the malware is already running, so you'll have to stop it first and to reinstall it. So sorry, to uninstall it. So you go in your shell and do ADB shell. Yeah, fine, ADB shell. And do PM, PM list packages, because it's got a very long and strange name. And it's the one with a very strange name. Yeah, we see it in the middle, MSQQ woke, a little bit below. Yeah, that one. Okay, so PM uninstall. Fine, and remove the package name. Yeah. Perfect. You can get out of your shell and reinstall alien.apk. That's just to restart in the clean thing, because if it's already started, well, you can miss the hooks and it won't be working.
Let me switch the so it was
it's in lab, exactly. And yeah, fine. Perfect. Okay. So now go back indeed to your browser. Go to the hook section and dashboard. And in here, you've got to look, well, you actually already have the hook that we are looking for. It is that one, Dex class loader in it. It's
so let me just disable all to be this one.
Oh, yeah, okay. You can do that. And now you've got to enable it. Perfect. So you only have that hook, which is enabled. That's fine. I've never done it like that. Most of the time I leave the other hooks, but it doesn't matter. We are going just to check that you still have Frida, which is running on your emulator.
So this does not work?
Here. Yeah, Dexcalibur says it is running, but to be honest, sometimes Dexcalibur is wrong. So I'd like you to go in a shell and check that your Frida server is still running.
Should I have to go on the shell on the device, or can I do it from the computer?
Yes, on the device.
Okay.
So ADB shell, and then PS. You can do PS and grep for Frida Frida server. Yeah, you've got to put, I think, you've got to put options to see the other. Oh, you've got to be root, by the way. Maybe if
PS
you PS minus U.
It's always different here on.
Yeah, it's different on.
Nah,
okay,
damn
let me check what you've got to type.
Big A. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and in here you've got to check that Frida server is still running.
Nothing with the name Frida running.
No, okay. So go in the directory where you have Frida.
Where has that been
Usually
installed by
it's
Excalibur?
in data local TMP.
Data.
Because that's a writable directory. That's why we put it in there. Okay, TMP.
So.
Okay, Frida server. That's yeah. Close it and do Frida server minus version or something like that, just to check the version of the file before we execute it. Okay, it's 14.2.11. It's a little bit old, but it will work. Let's go there. It depends on which version you have on your host.
So it's a new emulator, just enrolled it with the Excalibur some minutes ago.
Okay,
so it should match,
so click
hopefully.
there. And now go back to shell with the on your host.
Okay.
And on your host, where you have Frida, just type Frida and minus version. I'm just checking here that we have the same version. Yeah, fine. So this is good. Okay, it's not the most recent version, but you've got the same version on both sides, so it works fine. Okay, so now we go back to Frida, and I think you can hit the button Run Spawn. Okay. And maybe wait a little bit, but normally it should be working.
This is where I
can you
failed
show
before.
the screen of your emulator meanwhile? Okay, it looks just as if so it is running. We see that Flash Player is running because it is actually asking you to give some more rights to the application. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't get the hook. We should have had something in here in Excalibur listing it. So we are going to stop this. You are going to uninstall again the application.
Okay. So is it actually still here? No, of course not.
Yes, perfect. I think it begins with MSQQ. Yes, it's in just below. It's PM.
Yeah, still.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, you've got to reinstall it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. Now you can go back to Excalibur.
Let me start Frida again.
Yes, if you've stopped it, yes, of course.
Yeah, it was the same shell.
Okay.
Okay.
So go to the hooks. Here you're in the hook log, but in the dashboard. Okay, and now enable everything. Okay, and yeah, you can run spawn now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, so probably we didn't exactly hook the right one. It didn't go exactly in that one, so you didn't get the hook. So now you just have to wait a little bit. We don't exactly have the information we want, but it's soon going to come to appear. So scroll down a little bit. Okay, no, it's still not showing, still not, now down. You can still scroll. Now, more, do you have more down there?
No.
Yeah, go down. Go down. Yeah, that's this in an APK, but it's not exactly the one we want, although it's a pretty good. I wanted to show you the DEX class loading stuff. Go down. Maybe you can do a search on JSON. Do you have that?
No.
That's strange. Okay, I already saw that on somebody else's host. I have it without any problem, but it seems that it doesn't work the same. Anyway, you probably can have. You saw the ring.apk down there.
Yeah.
So what I suggest is that you can indeed recover that one.
So just open a new shell.
So yeah, you are going to have to do an ADB pool, but indeed, as it's in a root directory, you can do ADB shell. Do ADB shell and just copy and copy that directory, that file into the SD card or something like that.
So it's
you go in data user 0 MSQQ. You've got to be root. Okay, it's an app APK. And actually your file, you've got nothing in there, but your file is in app, go in app dynamic ops dex. You're going to find a dex in there.
Sorry. Dynamic op, you said?
Yeah. Yeah, and so take that file, jesk.json, and copy it to your SD card. So CP, that one. Well, anyway, copy it to any directory you can access from outside. Yeah, fine. And now you get out of the ADB shell. And you can do ADB pull on it. Perfect. And now do a file on that file, and you'll see it's not a JSON file. Yeah, it's a DEX. Okay?
Oh, perfect.
Okay, well done. So
still
you get it like there. I'll share my screen now to show you exactly how you can get that file name, and then we can continue to the next exercise. So in my case, I'm going to share my screen. Thank you very much, Alex.
Oh, thank you.
So now I'm sharing my screen. I have all. So in here, you see you have plenty of ways to load the DEX. And this one is in here, the status is on, so there will be a hook. And indeed, you can spawn that. I've got to check that everything is okay. My emulator, no, my emulator is not okay. So data local TMP, free the server, I'll launch it. I think I do, yes, I do have the application. I haven't launched it yet. And Frida is working, so I am ready normally. So yeah, the other thing you have to check is that you've got here a targeted device. That's you only have to do that once at the beginning, but do be sure you have enrolled your emulator in there. And then in the hooks, you click the run spawn button, and you see, I see the file here, which is actually being unpacked. It's in there. And so it's not exactly like the one you had, Alex. And I'm waiting a little bit. There we go. For the next few hooks to, and here it is. That's the hook I was looking for, dex class loader.init. So this is when we are going to load a dynamic class. And one of the arguments for this class is the name of the DEX file to load. And there it is. It's the first argument, and you get it here. So you know that here, if you want to grab the unpacked file, well, you just have to go and grab that JSON file. That JSON file is not a JSON file, it's a DEX, okay? And then once you have that DEX, so what I can do in here is that. I'll do the same ADB shell. So the data, no. I've got the path in there. Gonna do the same again, copy that to some place where I can access from the outside. Exit, ADB pool, SD card. And it tells me it's a DEX. By the way, notice that strange thing. If you are in the emulator and you do file on the JSON, it tells you it's data. It doesn't see it's a DEX in the emulator, okay? So that's something which might be a little bit tricky. And now I'm going to launch JADX, for instance, on that file. So in my case, I'm using my a Docker container of my own. So, but you'll have that directly on your hosts most of the time. There we go. Oh, silly, I forgot to copy the file to a shared directory. I'm copying it here. There, and now I can launch JADX. And the file is going to be in a directory named workshop. In my case, that's the folder in which I share between the host and the Docker container. So it's on the other screen, sorry. There we go. We have that DEX which is being decompiled. And I can't remember exactly where we've got to go, but it's basically in those parts. Yeah, it's over here. So this is going to be the next step. Okay, so of course you can ask me questions up to now on Discord for that. I'm just checking if there were any other questions in the exercise, but I think we're done. I think we are. Okay, if you haven't been able to retrieve that JSON file, it is in the solutions in the directory in there. TMP lab. So in the solutions directory x02, it's in here, okay? So you can grab it from there and continue the rest of the exercises, okay? And now we are going to work no longer on unpacking, but on obfuscation, because well, you'll see that in that unpacked text file, lots of strings are obfuscated, okay? So here we're going to learn how to deobfuscate them, or there's plenty of ways to deobfuscate strings. You can do that statically and things like that. Here we're going to use another tool that I found quite useful, which is called House, okay? So House is going to help you do part of the work for you and help you deobfuscate the strings. So this is exercise X03 in there. Okay, so let's head on for the rest. And if you are jumping in the session or whatever, feel free to send me a direct message so that you can catch up for where we are here, or if you have any issues up here. Don't be shy about it, just ask. Bye. I forgot to say just one thing. Usually I don't, once the application is running, okay, I'm going to share my screen again. When the application is running, you see here, the application is kind of trying to run in my emulator. I don't like to leave that for a too long time because you can always forget it in there. So, well, you can uninstall it. In my case, well, you can do PM list packages as we did with Alex, okay? In my case, I just create a small make file and I'm gonna do make uninstall, which is just a shortcut to uninstall the app, okay? So make sure, at least at the end of the workshop, to clean up your emulators so that you don't have any malware which is remaining on your emulator. It could be a bad surprises afterwards for you. And that's all, folks. Okay, guys. Well, I had forgotten to mute, so you heard my clicks and everything. Doesn't matter. Fortunately, I didn't say anything bad, so it's good. So we are now going to solve the next few questions. So let me share a little shortly my screen for that one. So there we go. Okay, you see the questions there. So it's finding the obfuscated strings in the unpacked text that we got in the previous exercise. First, spot the obfuscated strings. I know that some of you managed to get those. Then confirm that it's not just base64 encoding, because that's kind of a little bit simple, right? Okay, and name what is the method that is used to obfuscate or deobfuscate the strings. So I could do it myself, of course, but usually it works far better when I ask a participant to do it. So I'm going to ask one of you to do it for me. If there is a volunteer, of course, please show up in the chat. Of course, as usual, don't be afraid. You just need to have a JADX version which is working on your host. But then if you don't know how to answer the questions, this is perfectly fine. We are going to do it together. And the benefit is that at the end, you will have learned and understood how to do it. Okay. So let me ask Albert Zigovitz, please. Are you online? And can you share your screen, please? And your microphone as well. And if you have issues with sharing screens, Maxime will probably give you the right soon.
You should be good to share if you are here.
Yeah, Albert, if you are here, it looks that you are muted. So if you are speaking, we don't hear you at all. No, nobody. Okay, let's try then. Next on the list is Anna-Lena Marx, please. And meanwhile, of course, if there's somebody else to volunteer before I get to your name, it's just as simple, right? Okay, so Anna has issues with her setup. Ashyahanim Ayasoa, please. I'm sorry about the pronunciation of names, though. No, Dominique Bastien. Dominique. Yeah, I think I've frightened them out like that. Hugo, I think, is an organizer. I'm not going to bother him. Isabelle M. So Isabelle, yeah, please. Sorry, also issues where your setup. Oh, too bad. Jeff Norris. So it's quite simple, just unmute, and then you will get rights to share your screen. I'm sorry to bother you all, but I found out that it's really works out so much better when it's one of the participants who shows how to do it, even if there is a help there than just me doing it. When I do it, like people are just sitting down and yeah, not that much learning. By the way, I saw on Discord that Kernel Void found the solution there. So Kernel Void, if you are ready, I don't know to which name you correspond, but if you are ready to share your screen, that would be great as well, okay? Because it looks like Jeff isn't there. Kevin Bouteau. Well, at least women have the courage to say that their setup is not working. I'm not just saying. Okay, Marcos Gomez. Oh, I can hear somebody, but it's very, very, very difficult. No, Mathieu. Gosh, I'm speaking to ghosts. How horrible. No, Nancy. Nicolas. Nicholas, no. Anybody here? Nicholas, your setup won't work or whatever. We don't need the Excalibur to work, right? It's just JetX to work there. Okay, it looks like Ashia Hanim is willing to try. Thank you very much. Maxime, can you give him the right to share his screen?
Yes.
You can see in the chat.
You should be able to.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much. So this is perfect. Okay, so we are in JetX. Now you have to head to the right package. Do you
Yeah,
have the
I
name?
think it's it's
I think it's in MGC, then QL, then OYG something
yeah,
in this one.
OYG.A.
Can you open that one? Yeah, and I think it's in A, for instance. And then we can see the decompile. So do you see any obfuscated strings? Yes, perfect.
I have
There are
this one.
plenty of obfuscated strings.
Yeah.
So there are some which are not obfuscated that we can see in the middle, but there are plenty
Here.
of obfuscated ones. As you can see, if you're a bit used to that, you can see that they look like base 64 encoding, when it finishes with 2 equals signs.
Yes.
This is very much like base 64. Can you open a terminal and copy one of those strings in your terminal, and we'll try to decode that with base 64, or we can do that online, depending what you prefer.
Let's do it online. I'll just use.
Yeah, sure.
There is a CyberChef.
Yeah, with CyberChef will do fine. Good idea.
So if I copy like the first one.
Yes. Exactly. And you see the output. Well, it's a string. It does decrypt, but that's still kind of meaningless. Okay. So we've got a little bit more to do. So go back to JetX again.
Yeah.
So the method that deobfuscates it, well, we see that that string is put in a string A, B, C, etc. The method that deobfuscated, well, it has to be inside that B. No, not this one. Go back to your class A.
Okay.
Yeah, and
okay,
in class A,
like
double click on B, the method B.
Public string B.
Yes, over here, double click on B so that it goes there.
Yeah, it can follows.
It can't follow. Okay, let me tell you which one it is then in mine. So actually, it goes below in the same class, but go below all that code, that static code, kind of.
Yeah, it's
exactly,
this
and you've got that method B. Okay, and we see that it is doing some base 64 decoding. That's the ends over there, base 64 decode stuff, and there's some more in there. Okay,
there's a C method.
Well, if you can follow that, but maybe you can't there, but if you can follow C or new E, you will see that it's a handmade algorithm that deobfuscates the strings.
Oh wait, maybe I can follow C. I think I can follow now. Yeah, I got the E.
Yes, well done. So this is the algorithm to deobfuscate the strings. Okay, so it's totally handmade. It's not like anything well known or anything there, but that's the way it's deobfuscating the strings. So now you've just answered those first 3 questions, and we are going to continue, everybody, to the rest of the exercise, which is, okay, we are going to try and deobfuscate the strings, okay? So there are 2 solutions, of course. Either you take that algorithm and you write a standalone script that decrypts all the obfuscated strings, okay? This is the static way to do it. If you are used to programming in Java, it works fine, and sometimes it's very efficient. If you don't want to do that because you find the algorithm a bit complicated or you're a bit lazy, okay? We said that this workshop was for Android, the reverse engineers, smart and lazy. Well, then you can use house, and that's what I'm suggesting people to do in this exercise. In the remaining of this exercise is to install house and use it to have house do this work for you. Okay, thank you very much for Shahanim for sharing your screen and solving this exercise. Thank you very much, and everybody, let's continue to the remaining of this exercise now.
Welcome.
Thanks. So I'm going to share how to install House, at least for now. So let me share my screen again. And there we go. So this is, again, exercise X03, step number 2, use House. And I'm just going to show you how basically to install House. So House, in my case, well, in your case as well, I guess, you basically have just to do a git clone and to create a virtual Python environment. And then you enable that environment. This is Python environment, just in case you need to know that. It's just basically to have kind of to isolate your installation of various Python packages so that you don't have conflicts in between some of those. So that way you know that what you're installing for House is just for House, and you can't have something else which is kind of conflicting into there. So here, source, I created my virtual environment in a directory called house v of, and it's in bin activate. There we go. Then I'm saying, and yeah, we always have to check this again. So X3, it's in here. Check that we have the correct version of Frida. In my case, 4.2.18, as we saw previously. If you have something which is older, it's okay, as long as you have the same version on the emulator. And in my emulator, that's what I am running, 4.2.18. Okay, then you've got to install the malware. So you've got to do that if you haven't done so already. What is this? This is JetX. So I'm going to go in the lab. And X01, the sample is here, adb install alien.apk. If it's already installed and you do it again, it's going to complain, okay, and tell you it already exists. Be certain that you haven't launched the application, because if you have, it's working with hooks the same way that Dixcalibre is, which means that if you run it and you hook after everything has run, well, you don't get into the hooks, okay? It's dynamic analysis, so it's too late. So you've got to first set the hooks and after that, run the application. Okay, so if you have already run it, there is basically the easiest way is just to uninstall and reinstall. Then the other thing I like to do, because House unfortunately is